Good day, viewers around the world. My name is Mark Godwin Iweajuan, and you are tuned in to SSM News Echoes. Today, Friday's World Affairs. World Affairs is where we give updates on global occurrences, and we make it just for international news. So, once again, you're welcome this beautiful Friday, the 12th of January, 2024. Um, I'm waiting for my colleagues, my coordinators from the different parts of the world. But before then, we could just run through some of what we are following up in the world news. A lot of things are happening. Now, what we do in SSM News Echo is to keep our viewers abreast with situations. You have to keep on following up what's happening. News happen every minute, every hour, every day. A new thing is happening in one part of the world. So you can't be left out of the dark. You can't be there and gazing and wondering. So we want to do our best, our little bit to keep you informed. And we do that by bringing what really matters, topics, news occurrences, updates that really matters, that affects you as a human being, affects you as a black person, as a white person, as somebody alive on Earth, on planet Earth. So once again, you're welcome. News Echoes, Global Affairs, Friday, 12, 2024. So let's begin. While I wait for my colleagues, let's begin with what we're following up. A major occurrence in the other part of the world, Taiwan. Taiwan, if you like to know, Taiwan is officially a Republic of China. Is a country in the far East Asia. It is located at a junction between the East and the South China Sea, and right there at the Western Pacific Ocean. Taiwan is considered a Chinese territory. So Taiwan, actually, all eyes are on Taiwan now. All eyes are on Taiwan. Taiwan is choosing its president, and whoever that person will be will also affect world's decision. It will affect China as a power player in this generation. So all eyes are on Taiwan this Saturday as voters will be choosing a new leader under the shadow of an increasingly pressure from China that has been running now for years, and China is having a strong hold on Taiwan. So the world is waiting to see what will be the outcome on Saturday. It's Saturday, tomorrow, the 13th of January. Taiwan will be picking its leader. The last time Taiwan had a change of government was when the ruling Democratic Party, they call them the DPP, came to power in 2016, sorry. And when that happened, what now happened was Beijing, the capital of China, had to cut off communication with Taiwan. Taiwan's capital is Taipei, and Taiwan has actually increased economically. Taiwan has increased in so many angles. It has increased in its GDP. So now China wants to have a hold on Taiwan, and China doesn't want a government that believes in a conservative government to rule, to be the leader of Taiwan. So when that party, the Democratic Progressive Party, came in, China also cut some ties with Taiwan, and we were seeing some strange things. But however, the whole situation was brought to control. So Taiwan is choosing its leader on Saturday, tomorrow, and it affects the world. It affects me and you. It affects a lot of things. You know why? Because Taiwan also has a lot of things coming from there. A lot of companies, a lot of big firms are located there, and some of the goods that you use, some of the items that we use in our daily lives come from Taiwan. Taiwan is a producer of so many things. So having a hold on Taiwan matters to China. Um, Also, what we're following with this situation is we are looking at long-term projects, long-term plans, as the Chinese Communist leader says that part of Taiwan will become theirs. They want to control Taiwan, Taipei. They want to have a hold on Taiwan. So this is what we're following. Tomorrow is Taiwan's election. It's going to be an election where all eyes will be on in that small country. There are some choice, there are some people's favorites, and there is also the Chinese government's favorite, somebody they want him to win, and there's somebody the Taiwanese wants to lead, wants him to win. So it's a little bit of conflict out there, and we hope that it doesn't result to war or anything, military pressure from China. It doesn't result to also increase in the economic pressure, and this just settles well once and for all. So Taiwan is on the flashpoint. Taiwan is having its election tomorrow. Taiwan is that small, vibrant country in Asia, and we are watching Taiwan. We are watching Taiwan. So, viewers, it's good to get abreast with what is going on. Also, the most important integral thing going on now all in the world is the UK-US launch strike against the Houthi rebels in Yemen. Let's just give a synopsis to what all this is. Remember that these Houthi rebels are a group of militants. And what has been happening is these Houthi rebels are being supported by Iran. Iran supports these rebels. They send them aids, they give them things to fight. Now, in this group in 2014, escalated a war between, they started with Saudi Arabia. You see, because Iran and Saudi Arabia had some conflict, Houthi rebel were the means by which they were also striking Saudi Arabia. So Iran provides these rebels with weapons, technology. In fact, they recently provided them with some high-tech weapons of war. And these people are very good on sea. They are seamen. They know how to manipulate vessels, how to stop vessels, and they know how to use drones and all these things they use for their strategic attack. So anyway, bringing it to this our time, fast forward to this time, these Houthi rebels have been they've been like in solidarity with Palestinians, with the Hamas rebel group too. So what they are doing is blocking that part of the sea, that part of the Mediterranean Sea that takes goods from one point of the world to the other side, to that Middle East, going back all the way to Asia and all that. So there's a sea path that vessels pass through. Now these rebels stay there, stop these vessels, obstruct this movement, sometimes attack that vessel, disrupt everything in that vessel. And this has been a shock to the global economy. The global economy has been affected as a result of those attacks. And big ships, all companies had to suspend their movement to that part of the world because of the attack going on by that corner of the straits. That's between the seaport between Egypt and going into Israel. So it was affecting the global economy. As at yesterday, US and the UK forces have begun airstrikes against the Houthi rebel that have been and their target is more in Yemen. So US officials are telling us that they started some strikes. These strikes are carried out by aircraft, ships, and submarine. and we know how it can be. The U.S. military launched strikes also in some key areas of Yemen, because this is where these people get their support from. And the strikes are coming with some massive fighter jets, Tomahawk missiles. For those of us that follow military appliances, war appliances, the Tomahawk land missile is a long range missile you use. Is an all-weather missile, jet-packed. We call it subsonic cruise missile. The US use it. So they are using this missile to send attack to various areas in Yemen, in all the threats of that area where these people are blocking vessels from passing. So this is what we're following. As at this morning, we hear more strikes are going on. UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak also briefed his cabinet on more British UK strike on the Houthi rebel. So this Houthi are being supported, like I said, by the Iranian group, and they have so much control. They are right there in Yemen. They have so much control over those part of the world. They strike on ship that are passing through the Red Sea. What they say is they're in solidarity with Hamas, with Palestinians. So we're looking at that. It's not looking good, but we're following that news. While I continue, I want to welcome my very good friend, coordinator from Russia, Dr. Godwin Ibe. Godwin Ibe, how are you this morning?
Oh, I'm very good. Thank you so much.
At the
I
point,
hope
I
you.
thought, I thought I'll be the only man here. I'm giving my own brief. I'm doing my
Uh,
thing. I'm happy you're there with me. Uh,
yes, thank you. I decided to join as soon as I could. And also, I thank you viewers for tuning in to be. I hope it will be a great opportunity to talk on global issues that affect Nigerians around the world.
nice. Affects us around the world. Yes, before you came in, I also did a small intro to what we do on Friday. What we do on Friday, like you know, is give international news. We don't do anything local, no Nigerian news, no um, Lagos news. It's strictly international. And that way we keep our people abreast with what is going on around the world. And I said people need to get abreast with news updates. You can be alive on planet Earth and you don't want to know what's going on. So this is a beautiful, interesting way we do it. We give our views and we bring it from different corners. Right now, Dr. Godwin is with me from Russia, Moscow, Russia. Dr. Godwin, um, this morning, news are flying. Let's begin with this something I just finished talking about, but we can go all the way back. U.S. and UK says they are launched strikes against the Houthi rebels in Yemen, and I gave some summary of what's going on as at this morning. What do you have from your corner? What are you seeing with this strike?
Yes, the news is paramount as it takes center stage, even
Uh-huh.
relegating to the background the Israel-Gaza conflict and
That's
the
correct.
Russia-Ukraine conflict. As you well know, I have no affinity, time, or pulse for platitudes or genuinities.
Okay.
Like my Jamaican friend says, them star me plentiful, another one waiting. But like the proverbial shovel, yeah, like the
Mhm.
proverbial shovel, if I may, spade,
Mhm.
it must be nomenclated for exactly what it is.
Okay. Nice.
The constant uphill struggle for the reversal of the self-evident trend, which is the
Yeah.
movement from a unipolar world to a multipolar world,
Oh, okay.
maybe more akin to the biblical handwriting on the wall. Mene, mene, tekel uphassen.
That's
Um,
biblical.
yes, from the fifth chapter of Daniel. And
Daniel.
I'm quoting not from a religious, but from a historical perspective, if I may, because it's one of the most popular books in the world. Um, the the struggle to cling on to hegemony and unipolarity leads to consequences of what we are seeing today.
Mm.
Wars, rumors of wars, loss of lives, but in every single one of them, the West seems to have a piece of cake in every single one
One
of them.
of them. Ah,
And why
okay.
would we dare to phantom otherwise? If the West operates over 750 military bases over the world, those are not ice cream shops. They are
Mm.
military bases. They're not there to sell pharmaceutical drugs
Mm.
or medical supplies. So why would we phantom otherwise? And of
Okay.
course, the media in the information war space or playing his role and his character will try to dampen or curtail your field of vision, maybe relegating it to the field of acute myopia. But if
Hmm.
you try to break loose a little bit, you will
Yeah.
see that the war didn't start in Yemen nor the Red Sea. You would see that just before that, there was the Israel-Palestine war, which led to the escalation on the Red Sea. And
Mm-hmm.
before that, there was the October 7th attack, which was horrible in its right. And before the October 7th, there was the horrible occupation of West Bank and Gaza. And
Mm-hmm.
even before that, there was
Yeah.
the ethnic discrimination with the law of return in Israel, which since 1950 gave only the Jews, people with one or more Jewish grandparents, and their spouses the right to relocate to Israel and acquire Israel citizens. That means the Arabs know, the Palestinians know, and the demographics was artificially engineered to what it is based on policies enacted by the government. So to trim the whole chronicle short, you can trace the wars to
Mhm.
hegemony, greed, struggle, and we need to stop creating more excuses for war and return to diplomacy, respect for sovereignty and the interests of other countries, even and especially if they are not friends of Al Capone.
You know what you just did? Took me off the radio. I was riding along with you, but what you just did is beautiful because you're giving a background to all of this. Anyway, Dr. Godwin, the strike is on. What you see, why it concerns many people is because, like important maritime trade is being obstructed. That route of the sea is where a lot of transit happens back and forth. Ship use that route. Now, these Yemen, Iran-backed Houthi rebels strike on ships in that route, and they say yes, like you said, what they are standing on is they are in solidarity with Hamas and Palestinians against Israel. So, but why it concerns America now, why it concerns UK is because it affects the global trade. It affects.
No, exactly no. False. Let me correct that. Let me
Why?
correct that. You see, let me correct that. Let me correct that because like I said, I have no affinity for this, uh, stories
Mhm.
cooked up. The
Okay.
truth is that they are
Uh-huh.
they are not while they're affecting world trade, it's
Hmm.
disproportionate. They're affecting mostly Western trade, mostly Israeli ships, and the cost of insurance or doing trade with them. In fact, most commercial ships before this moment have
Hmm.
stopped passing through the Red Sea to do business with Israel. They had to go around, significantly increasing the cost of transport and the cost of insurance for trade with Israel. And
Hmm.
in second place, Western trade. So do not drag the war to try to launder the crime. You
Oh.
escalated a crime, a
Hmm.
genetic, genocidal like crime that has killed over 20,000 people in Gaza. Over 50% of them are children dependents who have nobody to survive on. after the death of the people they depend on for their daily bread, and in solidarity with the most of the Muslim world who are united for once against all expectation, are united against all usual, both Sunni and Shiite. Sunni and Shiite come together and say, this our problem with Muhammad and who is the heir. Let us put it aside. These guys are doing rubbish.
Okay.
And for once, they escalate things.
Obviously, we will come to the update on the Hamas-Israel war. But what we are looking at now is this strike that is going on. This morning, I saw a live coverage of the strikes with the Tomahawk vessels and these long-range missiles that was used on this.
What will be the effect? What will be the effect on the people? What
yes,
do you think?
Yes. I think it might escalate. I think it might escalate more. But
you got it right.
Yeah.
You got that right.
Yes, but also what they are doing now, what America is doing, like America started it up, the United Kingdom has joined. This morning, Rashid Sunak briefed his cabinet on what they are about to do, and he said they have to strike this. They are termed rebels, so that's what it is. Now, what will also happen is more European countries will join. France might join in that strike because this affects them too. I heard there's a big cargo company.
Disproportionately.
Disproportionately.
Obviously. Okay. We have not heard of Russian ships attacked. We have not heard of other countries attacked. Yeah. So let's call it, it's not global fight. It's your fight.
No. You know, it is these people on this other end. Take note, the world is like two parts. So these people on this other end are being affected because goods have to move to that side, and goods have to also come back
somehow. Somehow everyone is affected. Somehow.
Everyone is
affected. Disproportionate.
Okay. Let's go on, brother man. Let's go on. I like and it's good you're here with me. We're doing this, Godwin, because we know two opposites, and we bring it on, and viewers are listening. Viewers, you're tuned into our program, SSM News Echoes, today, Friday, World Affairs, and we're giving you strictly World Affairs occurrences as it's happening. Dr. Godwin, there's another one I said earlier, but we could just run through before we go on the break. Taiwan is choosing its president tomorrow. Taiwan, all eyes are on Taiwan. Taiwan is that country right there in the Middle East, East Asia. You know Taiwan. For the benefit of our viewers, it's that country that's in between the south and the east of China Sea. And Taiwan is considered a China territory, even though there's some resistance. Small but vibrant Asian democratic country, and the outcome of tomorrow's election matters because the Chinese Communist government is watching. It looks as if it's a democratic governance that will come in. That DPP party, and somehow that will affect the relationship between China and Taiwan. So they have their own choice, somebody that aligns with the communist style of Chinese. So Godwin, what do you have on Taiwan? Tomorrow is Taiwan's election. What's your take on that?
My take on that is that, as we know, Taiwan is a very important country. Important because it supplies most of the semiconductors, as Americans would say, semiconductors. To the world, and we depend on, especially the cutting edge and the latest nodes of fabrication process. And this is quite important for energy savings, increasing efficiency, and power per dollar, let me put it this way, or unit consumption of energy. And based on this, even the US does not have the ability to replace the supply from Taiwan. So it's a strategic asset to everybody, not just China, the US, and the world. And that's why there's a heavy investment from the West, not only as a tool to contain China, but also to guarantee supplies which are not yet, and I said yet, easily replaceable. Now, despite the propaganda of China attacking Taiwan and all of that, China by far prefers to the reunification of Taiwan and China by peaceful means. By far.
Are you sure, Godwin?
By far. That's China. First of all, I give you evidence for that. First of all, China has no experience of wars. China don't engage in wars. All the people who say China are going to fight, they are the ones who have been fighting since thy kingdom come. But they have never seen.
We saw a video yesterday. It was sent directly.
No, forget training. No. Drills, training. I said my words were very clear. Don't misconstrue them. I didn't say drills. I didn't say military parades. I said China has never engaged in war in the recent history, and all the people. Recent is obviously in the last 100 years, quite clearly, and recent not 10 years, 15, last century. They've not engaged in war, and the people who predict them to fight are the ones themselves who are engaged in multiple and countless wars upon wars and expect everybody to think like them. But the fact of the matter is that when you look at the facts in front of your face, you see, wait a minute, these people haven't really fought any war. Even if they have the best equipment, they will still lack the real life experience. Because one of the things, even the people who do not like some of the wars in the world, like the Russian-Ukraine conflict, they all agree that the Russian military, for example, is much more strengthened than it was in 2022 because they realize the importance of experience, hands-on experience. And China lacks this. And even going as far as using soft power, China has invested a lot in soft power and is the soft power capital of the world. Nobody beats them in soft power.
I want to say
you get what I'm saying. So we have the evidence. Yeah, we have the evidence on our, forget speculations, but we have evidence. But we can make an objective conclusion that China prefers soft power, prefers peaceful reunification. And of course, they like to keep their options open through military drills, showing that they have tooth and they can bite. But will they bite? And have they beaten? They have not. And they refuse to bite for over a century.
Okay, but this Taiwan case, the Communist Party sees Taiwan as their territory.
It's clear. It's clear. Even the US,
they've not controlled it. They've not had any control over Taiwan.
Even the US sees officially the United States, Europe, the United States see Taiwan as part of China officially.
Yes.
So it's not a one China view. It's a global, international recognized viewpoint. I am not saying it because I'm trying to be pro-China. I'm just stating the fact, and historical evidence backs it up. I'm not making speculations. I'm just making an objective deduction from what we already have on the ground.
Okay. Good. Nice. Yes, so we're watching that election tomorrow. There are different parties like the DPP and the other ones that China loads. China doesn't want those ones to have anything to do in governance. But we think that they might have more, the people, these are the people's choice, that Democratic Party in Taiwan.
Well, sorry to cut you short. You know, The incumbent governor, president, I can't remember her name. It's difficult to remember, but she's obviously stepping down. Her party is losing popularity, and the only saving grace she has, her party has, is that the two opposition parties didn't unite after they
I
had
think
an open
her
spat.
name, I think her name
Yeah,
is Tsai
yes.
Ing-wen.
Yeah, Tsai Ing-wen. Yeah, that's right. Tsai Ing-wen. The two opposition parties failed to reunite, especially after they had a spat, a public spat on TV, and they haven't
Okay.
reunited after that. But most of them want to increase business ties and business with China and want to become part of the Chinese mainland, except this Democratic People's Party, which she heads. Something like that. So we'll see how it turns out.
We'll see how it turns out. It
So
matters.
China is investing in democratic process. China is investing heavily in the democratic process of Taiwan because they prefer soft power.
Soft power. That's our take home. Soft power from Dr. Godwin. Viewers, you are tuned in to SSM News Echo World Affairs. Friday, Global World Affairs. We bring in international news. My coordinator and friend from Russia, Moscow, is on the other side, Dr. Godwin Ibe. Dr. Godwin, let's go on a small break. Just small break from our sponsors. We'll be back. More issues, brand new issues are on the ground. We'll be back to discuss more of it. Thank you very much, Dr. Godwin. Thank you.
A year ago, I wrote a book titled The Final Solution, and I was trying to say to the rest of the world that there are challenges ahead. Now, a prophecy did come, and that prophecy is coming to pass. But I'm telling you, the final solution has been found many years ago in the Bible, because the Bible simply says righteousness exalts a nation and sin is a reproach to the people. So I want you to know that you can get solutions to problems in Ukraine, in Russia, in Nigeria, indeed all parts of the world. We need that solution, and the solution is straightforward. Please get a copy of my book. It's the Final Solution by Bishop Shegun Johnson, and you can find it in Kindle, in Amazon. Just type Bishop Shegun Johnson, The Final Solution. It will come. It's very, very small book you can read within 2 hours, but it contains the final solution. Do get a copy. Not getting it is doing disservice to humanity. Don't forget The Final Solution.
Hi there, I'm Mary Keurig, and I am a businesswoman in the United States, but I'm also the Global Content Vice President for the Sub-Saharan Open University in Nigeria. I could not be prouder to work with Dr. Osita Anamika and his team on helping to create not just entrepreneurs and skill-based talent that will get out into the workforce and make a living for themselves, but also young leaders. And to that end, with this integrity-rich university environment that's accredited now, and it's just an amazing opportunity for anyone there of any age to jump on board and learn, we want to let you know about a new offering that we have. We have a global governance and diplomacy course now provided by a whole team of people that crosses several countries to put together these resources and lots of great information for those of you who might be on the path toward public service and diplomatic service, NGO leadership, that sort of thing. We hope that you will walk through this open door and enjoy.
Viewers, we're back. We're back. Friday, the 12th of January, the 12th day in the new year of 2024. I'm here, Mark Godwin Iwejuwan, with my friend, my colleague, my brother, Dr. Godwin Ibe from Moscow, Russia. Dr. Godwin, for some time now, Ecuador has been going through some real rough situation. Everywhere has been like violence and stampedes and all kinds of situations happening in Ecuador. What we saw yesterday was soldiers on the streets shooting at people. Now the background to the story is that a prison, a jail was some prison break happened. Some prisoners escaped from the prison, and they took to violence on the street. We saw a video. I don't know if you saw that, Dr. Godwin. They even rammed into a TV station and held the broadcasters and everybody hostage. And this has been going on. So it also has turned into gang violence between two opposite corners, and all this is creating so much confusion in Ecuador. Beautiful country, has always been peaceful, but now we're seeing this. But the news this morning is the soldiers are quelling it. There's now peace is returning. How do you hear the news from your corner, Dr. Godwin?
The problem with Ecuador today, it's not the prison break.
Okay.
The problem with Ecuador today, despite its blessed resources, blessed people, beautiful cultural people, despite that, the issue they have is drug cartels. And when we use the word drug cartels, people tend to use labels on people. Like, I am the good guy, you are the drug cartel, so you've got to be the bad guy. That's not what I'm speaking about. Why I use the term is to try to explain to you that it is a market. And for there to be a market, there has to be supply and most especially demand. Someone is producing, someone is shipping, someone is buying. And who are mostly the buyers? Which country do you think they reside
in? Your guess is as good as mine.
Your guess is as good as mine, but I'll give him numbers. Drugs kill more citizens in US than the war in Ukraine does.
Okay.
Or the war in Yemen. Or the war in Syria.
Okay.
100,000 US citizens die every year of drug abuse. Only drug abuse. And it is clear that there's a drug problem all over the world, but most especially in the United States. And if you do not spend a lot of money to, first of all, stop people from using, not just educate them, rehabilitate them, give them an alternative, after rehabilitation, you continue to have this problem. And then it's more exacerbated when you have, instead of having 750 more rehabilitation centers, you have 750 more military bases. Instead of spending, allocating more budget from the Congress or from the government in closing your borders, your southern borders. And controlling the kind of immigration you have. As I hear, I don't like to speak about American politics because honestly, I believe the Americans are smart enough, are beautiful, wonderful enough to know what's best for them.
That's correct.
But as you ask me on air what the origin of this problem is, I cannot not hide. I cannot hide behind all these sweet words. And a lot more, instead of being engaged and being stretched in Yemen, stretched in Syria, stretched in Taiwan, stretched in this, maybe you can focus a little bit more on drugs and controlling of drugs, in remembering that whatever that goes wrong in Ecuador or Mexico will lead to migration back to you, instead of allowing those people to come to you and feed on your taxpayers' money, inconvenience the local residents. You can their life better over there by giving them something to do over there, rehabilitating them over there, and controlling your borders a little bit better so that you get in the people that will multiply, have a multiplying effect on your economy, will make the residents happy, and will not compete in everything, even in the lowest of skill of labor. And I think
yes, you put that right. But yes, Ecuador is a sovereign country. They should make their own decision, control their borders, control their people, do everything to protect.
Is it a sovereign country? Now you see, that's the point. That's the point. That's the point. That's the point. You see, we throw all these words around. Yeah, officially, you can call it a sovereign country, just like we call Nigeria a country of birth, a sovereign country. But we know that we residents of the land they live in do not have access to the resources that they live under. And they, especially people in the Niger Delta, they get pennies for the oil they sell. And is that sovereignty? Is that sovereignty when most of the benefactors are the Anglo-Saxons, even the Anglo-Saxons? Let's call it spade a spade. The most benefactors are the Anglo-Saxons, especially the British. In fact, I remember just after during the colonialization, when US was called to intervene in the British protectorate of Nigeria, and the Americans said, then the Secretary of State said quite clear that we do not dabble into British affairs, right? These were their words there. So it's a long-term project, Sovereignty is not just having this title of sovereign, but it's about being able to control your resources, being able to have your say in global affairs, to be able to defend your national and strategic interests, even if your patron doesn't like it. And that is a sovereign country.
That's a sovereign country. Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Godwin. Dr. Godwin, that's it. These are your views, and
we've just recently had Guadio. Was it not Guadio? Was it not from Ecuador? Guadio, this guy that was contesting for president. Yes.
Yes.
Venezuela or Ecuador.
Yes. The president now is Nobio.
Yes. We've always had problems. Yeah, we always had problems there. So it's a you have to always get to the root of the problem. Now, if you quell the streets now, like they say things are returning back to normal and in Ecuador, have they quelled the drug problem? Those people who who escaped from prison now, are they going to peradventure quit drug business? Peradventure. Is there a slight chance on earth or in heaven that they might reconsider not doing drugs? So what are we speaking about? Wasting our time to talk about it. There's a drug problem. They have to deal with it, and they have to close the drug trade and secure their borders. It's very simple.
Close the drug
Not
trade.
simple in
Thank you very much. Anyway, the president said soldiers are on the streets of several centers of Ecuador, and the country is coming back to normal. Yes, like you said, it's about the gangs and drug gang leaders, and this has also resulted in so many deaths, casualties, and so much. So, but the most important thing is peace is returning to Ecuador, and we wish that they be peaceful there, so they can live their lives. Godwin, thank you very much. Good one. Let's jump into the few minutes we have. Let's go into some business talk, some international business talk. First of all, this morning was a sad news because I've been following the man for some time now. Al Gore is stepping down as Apple as one of the board of directors. Al Gore, you know Al Gore, one-time presidential candidate. Al Gore used to sit on the board of Apple, and while he was on the board, he made some very good decisions. He masterminded that there was a time they upgraded their product to a more the security of Apple became more tighter. You can't hackers can't really have access like that. So what I had that time, that was in 2015, was Al Gore came up with that plan to make Apple really, really, really tight, security tight from hackers penetrating and doing havoc. So, but anyway, he has left the board this morning, 12th of January, and Tim Cook, the board, the Apple chairman, said he was a great guy, but age, I think age is why he's stepping down. Age, he's old now. Al Gore is losing, you know. So that's what we're seeing. What will you say about Apple and Al Gore, Dr. Godwin? Is there anything you have there?
In a normal world, this should be news only for the investors. It's not by any chance important in other countries of the world, because it's a U.S. issue and internal domestic issue and limited to one company. But considering the fact that he's alive, he's not dead, no sickness was announced, it's just quitting a job. It's not something that should have prominence.
Okay.
But I wonder why it's making the headlines. I don't know.
Yeah. It's making the headline because well, you know, Apple has a large range of users.
Yeah.
And,
it should be an Apple portal, not global.
Well, it is a global thing because who sits on the board of some of these elite companies, affluent companies, matters. You know, they want to know who's there so that shareholders will understand where they're putting their money, who's behind policy making in those places. So that's why. Thank
you for confirming my theory of globalization and lack of sovereignty. But I digress.
Let's go on. Another major business news. I like to follow the aircraft activities. Airbus. Airbus is getting more orders in 2023. Since 2023 till now, Airbus order has increased, while Boeing is falling. And Boeing added to Boeing demands reducing. Boeing had some problems lately. I don't know if you followed the story of the 737 MAX 9 that was flying, and the window, a door part, a compartment part just flew out, and the air was blowing. But thank God they were almost about to land, so it wasn't on high speed. This thing. Did you follow that? Did you see that? Did you hear about that?
I heard about the news. But you know, I want to say that Airbus is not too big per se to fail and company, or it hasn't reached the point where it is the US wants to do everything to ensure their global dominance. If peradventure, Boeing, if peradventure if peradventure the US wants Boeing to be more relevant in Europe than it truly is, it has the tools to do so and to force European airlines to buy American jets. It's just they haven't decided to do that yet, and they just allowing this competition. In any case, a good example is energy prices, how Germany was purchasing cheap energy prices, especially from Russia. That's helped it to be, in the first 5 places in the world and the giant of Europe in terms of industrialization. But since the conflict with Russia, it's buying its LNG at 30% premium, and it's falling from 5th place down. There are protests every day in Germany, in Berlin. The agricultural machinery all over line the streets, protesting every single day. And these are the consequences of taking actions that are not exactly in your own interest, just to suit the political elites. And I can assure you that there's no danger to Boeing in any way. Once it becomes important, that once the US wants to see Boeing in first place, it has the tools to make Europe allow Boeing to be in first place.
Okay, that's anyway. Europe Airbus is getting more deals. Yes, Airbus, for our viewers listening, Godwin has said some nice things there. Viewers listening, Airbus is a European multinational aerospace aircraft company, and they do the Airbus. They have their specifications. They design also other aircraft, helicopters, defense and space aircraft, and they are based not too far from me here, Netherlands. That's where the headquarters of Airbus is. While American Boeing is an American company, and they handle aircraft too. They manufacture and sell aircraft, rockets, and all these things, and even missiles too. Boeing produces missiles too. Yes, anyway, so business is booming.
Sorry to cut you short. Boeing seems more diverse in the portfolio than Airbus. It doesn't necessarily need to win in commercial space. It can have more military deals and just be totally fine with that.
Which yes, because they have more range of things.
More range. So it's not critical for the United States. That's the point. Once it becomes critical,
let me say this, Godwin. No, not trying to patronize you, but when it comes to aircraft handling, some of these big gadgets flying up in the air, I want to give it to the Russians. Yes, I want to give it to you guys. Russians produce, I think, the biggest aircraft so far. The biggest cargo aircraft is from Russia. Is that correct?
Yes, Antonov. It was also produced in Ukraine, by the way, mostly assembled in Ukraine. It was Soviet technology, now Russian technology, assembled in Ukraine before, but now it's assembled in Russia as well. And also the biggest bomber, Tupolev. Tupolev, is the biggest bomber in the world, supersonic bomber. But Russia has not been as successful as the West in commercial aircraft. We have to say it's for what it is, right? Russia is trying recently with their super jets and other variants, but you see, the sanctions is speeding up the process of domestic production and self-reliance. And now many of these commercial aircraft produced in Russia are mostly made of local parts. Before, most of these parts were outsourced to Europe, for example, and they made some money out of it. But now everything most things are produced domestically.
Nice. Okay. So there you go, viewers. We're talking business. We're talking current affairs, international news as it affects us, Black people in diaspora, in Africa, wherever you are. Dr. Godwin, just a few minutes. We don't have much time. What's your new update on the Hamas? Sorry, let's start with Ukraine-Russia issue, conflict, the war, whatever you call it. What's the new update coming from your corner? I heard. Go ahead. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead.
I think I heard the British MI6 says on the 15th of January there's going to be some big unveiling of a Russian push, and has obviously such kind of things are not going to be confirmed locally, but obviously Ukraine is losing territory every day. More people are dying on both sides. It's not like many people are dying on both sides, but right now the trend seems to be Ukraine losing more territory, and funding for them is now being questioned. The US has said many times they've run out of funding, and but I don't believe that exactly, because they will still find a way to print more money. But the point is that there's an effect. There's an effect on the economy which is visibly felt, and they are interested in votes and the upcoming elections. So they have to understand that there's a limit to which they can punish taxpayers before there's a total revolt.
Let me ask you this. With Russian election coming soon, do you think focus will be on this war again? Do you think? I mean, he has to think other things.
Any tactical victory is very good for politics. any quick tactical victory that Russia makes. Like, Russia seized Marinka recently. What else? They are taking more grounds in Avdiivka. If they take Avdiivka, or they take maybe
Yes,
let's say something
I
like Liman, yeah.
Liman.
It would be a good tactical push.
Okay,
Obviously, we already know, as confirmed in all sides, that Putin has our dear President Putin has 80% approval rating, but nothing stops it from shooting up to 90 if he takes Avdiivka, for example, or takes another. So it's good for politics, but obviously, all lives are suffering, both Russia and Ukraine, and we would like to see more diplomacy, even though there's no doubt that Russia has decisively the upper hand in this conflict, especially with the stretching out of the US in different other wars in Yemen, in Gaza, and their priority over over Ukraine in terms of international trade. There's absolutely no doubt that in sooner than later, as most Western people are predicting, even Ukraine themselves predict that there will be a decisive turn of events in summer of this year. There'll be a decisive turn. And the head.
What's your view? What's your prediction on that?
Let me quote the head of the army, head of the Ukrainian army, Zaluzhny. He said Avdiivka will be taken by the Russians in 2 to 3 months. And he said it. He said it himself. A decisive victory will mean when the most of the top brass in Ukraine electorate understand that it's much more damaging to them personally to continue the war than to remember this guy Arestovich, who was the former advisor, former advisor to Zelensky. He said that that Ukraine should just basically stop fighting, join with Russia, and sue the US in international court.
Well,
I was flabbergasted. But those are his words. So people are just getting to understand the
1 minute, 1 minute our time. 1 minute, Godwin.
I think we have 3 more minutes.
Yes, but I mean 1 minute to this. What's updates from the Hamas Israel from your corner, from your end?
Yes, the apart from the loss of lives, as we've said, over 20,000, 50% of them children, we also have losses in Ukraine, in Israeli army. They've pulled back. Yes, significant losses, both in manpower and hardware. They've had to call back some brigades, and as I understand, there was also problem with economy and shortage of labor because many of these people who are engaged in the conflict are taken from their jobs, so they are trying to rationalize the kind of have a timetable where people can be partially unemployed for a period of time and return back to their work or return back to war. They're trying to juggle between the two, and there's a heavy toll on the economy, which obviously affects Netanyahu specifically, and he's already mostly unpopular, and this will make it even much more difficult for him.
Listen, Godwin, you spiced up today's News Echoes Global Affairs.
So did you. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate when you come around. I know you take time out from your own job to do this. We appreciate you, and see you next week. For our viewers, Godwin, maybe you need to hear this too. We're starting a Monday broadcast. Our Monday broadcast will be coming. It will be 8 o'clock Nigerian time, West African time. What will that be in your time? Is that okay? We'll talk about that later. But anyway, Monday, we're resuming our Monday broadcast, and we want to spice things up more. We want to bring more discussion, more updates, more news occurrences. So this is it, viewers. Dr. Godwin Ipe from Moscow, Russia, and myself have put to rest some of all the things happening. And you were listening to SSM News Echoes Global Africa today, 12th of January 2024. Thank you for staying tuned. And till we come your way on Monday, check us out on Monday. We'll be here again. Dr. Godwin.
Ciao.
How do you say that word in Russia? How do you say not bye-bye?
Goodbye.
No, not goodbye.
Till we meet again.
Till we meet again. How do you say that?
До встречи.
Death
До
stretching.
встречи.
Death stretching. Thank you.